Hey y'all, Josh Greathouse here. I just got back from HeroesCon 2026. It was a crazy year, one of the craziest for me. That says a lot because, man, I've been going for a while. When I say I've been going for a while, I mean I've been going for a while. So these are all my artist alleys. These are all my professional badges. And it's a show I love. It's a show I put in a lot of energy into. And it's the kind of thing I literally pester so many people to go to it. So why do I love HeroesCon so much? Well, I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons why. Yeah, ooh, YouTube would list. But no, I'm going to talk about why you should go to HeroesCon. Whether you're a creator or a fan, this will be kind of in between. So we'll be kind of going in between both of these. Because truthfully, this doesn't mark all the years I've been to HeroesCon. Because I started in 09, first time tabling was 010. And yeah, it's a show I've been going to almost for 20 years. And it's a show I hopefully got a lot more years in because it's one of my favorites. So anyway, let's get into it. So Heroes Con, it's weird. I live in Atlanta. We all joke it's our local show. I drive to Charlotte each year, and it is a blast. It's kind of like it's one of those shows where the same thing, there's same events, but it's slightly different each year, and it's something I recommend to everyone. So, so this one's gonna be me chatting, then editing in between. So, why do I recommend Heroes? I mean, like I said, I've been tabling since 010. And what's crazy is this was the start of the whole Scotty Young baby covers was right there. And, I've kept each one of these. But the first thing I love about HeroesCon, it's about the artists. It's about the art of comics. They've opened it up. We're starting to get a lot more writers, which is a good thing. But it's a celebration of comics. Like the only people who go there are comic books in some shape, way, or form. Whether that be the new indie guy, someone who's you also have you have people who've been doing this for years and years and years, celebrating the craft, and it's like yeah, they might not be on the big two, they might not be, but some of the best books I've found are those. But then you get the big ones. You get the people. It's like, oh my gosh, you're moving the medium. You've moved the medium. We have titans of the industry. It's a celebration of old, new, in between everything. Especially what's crazy is there's featured guests, there's Artist Alley, and then there's like Indie Island. So featured guests, it's what it sounds like. It's the big names, the ones you move, the ones the show line, the ones who are going to be there that move the needle. Scott Snyder, JRJR, Ann Nocenti, Walter Simonson, Louise Simonson, so on and so forth. The kind you don't really, it makes sense. Then there's Artist Alley. And like I said, I started off in Artist Alley. The first year I went, I thought I was there to sell my wares and show off my art. I was there to be the start of the J. Scott Campbell and Rob Liefeld line. Was that planned? No. Were they near me? Not at all. Were their lines just stopped right in front of me? Absolutely. That show was crazy too because literally the light above us went out. So it was like, oh, Josh, where are you set up? It's like, over there in the corner where the light doesn't touch. But these are anything like these could be diamonds in the roughs. And it's like, it's kind of crazy because I feel like you go and you do more and more, you chat with people, you move up, like, because you might start off the first year, and we all do it, like, far in the corner, then you kind of move closer and closer and closer to the center. You get to know people, and, but yeah, so it's like you got artists out. And the thing is, too, like, the featured guest alone is more than most people have on their shows. Artist Alley is more than, like, that list alone is huge. But then we have where I'm at nowadays, and that is Indie Island. Indie Island is where it's all the true independents, all the independent creators doing it themselves, maybe working with small publishers and making, their own books. Because, I'm a fan of that. um, But that one's great too, because that's where I swear you will find the treasures, because you can find someone there who, in a few years are moving the industry, who are becoming the Titans. Or you might find someone it's like that's where the heart and crafts, like the heart and love is. I swear Indian Island has some of the best treasures. And the way you can tell those are always by the yellow aprons. I put like a red apron over mine, but you can kind of tell. You'll kind of see like there's just a bunch of them. So it's the artist, it's the love of it, but it's also the lack of. It's also what it doesn't have. There are no celebrities. There are no movie stars, TV stars. There's no wrestling. There's no a lot of things, and that makes a huge difference. And I can tell you this much as creator. Why does that make a huge difference? Because people are there to see the art, to enjoy comics, and it's great, especially you'll get people who walk by and it's like, "What's this? Tell me about your book." And it's like you tell them, they flip through, and it's like, "Oh man." I had one. I am not even joking. I had a guy. He showed up. He was in a half like X Factor costume. I didn't get a photo of him. It looked like an 70s anime character to me because like basically had like a jacket and a belt. But he bought a book on Friday. His pal came back dressed up as a Yu-Gi-Oh character on Saturday with him. Bought a book. He then came back on Sunday and talked to me about a commission. Friday, no idea who. Never saw me before. By the end of the show, he came to my table multiple times, and that's something you can only get with Heroes. And I've done other shows, but the problem with, like I said, the problem when you got like celebrities, especially people are like, hey, we're going to charge five, six, or more, a ton of money for a signature. It's not going back into the con. So that's the first one. Uh, and how do they do this? Especially because like the ticket prices for that show are still, I think it's some of the most reasonable, best pricing. Especially because kids under 16 get it for free. Every child under 16 gets into free. And there's two things that are great about that. One, it opens up the doors to a lot of kids in comics. But two, it saves money for parents so they can buy, kind of buy my stuff. But like jokes aside, but it's something we don't see. I feel like we see less and less of this, where it's like, hey, we're family friendly, but that doesn't just mean like lack of things or making sure kids don't see things, but it's also like encouraging families to come. It's 16 under. That's a hard, for free. That's a big thing. So we're going to go into number two, the art auction. Every year, I like to do a piece for the art auction. Oh my gosh, I kind of wish I could relive like my first art auction. Like I remember hearing about it. It sounded so crazy. It's like you're telling me like artists do giant pieces for the show. So the way it works is like every piece you donate, all the money goes towards the show. I always do a piece. I'll probably always do a piece. I won't lie. In my mind, I'm like, maybe I'll take next year off. Then it's like, well, and the reason I do a piece, I want Heroes Con to be Heroes Con. I'm hoping 300 years from now, 400 years, Heroes Con is still going on. It's still comic book focus, and the tradition lives on. Like I said, I'm hoping that kids who got to go to the show this year get to take their kids. And yeah, I'll do a piece, and it's great when it sells big. And there have been so many years. There were so many years. Okay, back up. How does the art auction work? They collect the pieces. There are two. Well, there's technically like three, but there's two art auctions. There's a Saturday and the Sunday. The Saturday is the main one. That's the big. That's the showstopper. That's the one you hear all the tales, the big pieces, the crazy auction, crazy prices. That's that one. The rest of the pieces go towards Sunday. Both of them are great. Both of them help the show. What's funny is a lot of artists I know always get upset when their pieces are like, oh, it's on the Sunday show. And it's like, I'm not worthy enough. Some of it's a numbers game. You can only have so many pieces. Some of it's a size. I know some of it's a size thing where it's like, hey, if it's a little smaller, it's easier to show it off on the Sunday show. The other thing I can tell you about the Sunday show that no one talks about, more often people buy stuff from the Sunday show, go and find that artist. They go and try to find like, oh, did you do this piece? Yeah, I just won this piece. Saturday show they don't really do that. I've introduced myself like a lot of people. I'm now getting to the point they know who I am. But there were years I would like, oh, thank you for buying my piece, blah blah. It's like, oh, real? Oh, I didn't realize this was you. So there's pluses and minuses. And for years, I let my ego unbound, So it's the kind of thing. As an artist, I recommend don't worry about the like. We're these are the things I do. What's a character I want to paint that no one's asked me to paint? What's a problem I can practice or solve to get better? So, like for the first year, or I've done like three. I used to do kind of small pieces. The last 3 years, I've done big pieces. The first one was I wanted to do a crowd scene, but I wanted it to read from across the room, and also I wanted bar. It was a big bar piece. I wanted her to read no matter where, whether other side of the room or close up. So that was the first one. Last year, I wanted to do X Men because no one asked me to do them, but it's also I want to do the opposite, where it's like I want to showcase as many of characters as possible. And they were going up against the Brood because I like the idea of those villains. Also, no one. It's always like Sentinels. Like no one draws a Brood. I can see why. I drew over 100 of those things, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, that's the challenge. This year, I won't lie, that doing so many figures kind of broke me. Like not like it just was like, oh, I need a break. I've also been scared of having a single character. 'Cause in my mind, I'm like, I'm not good enough. I'm not. My figure works aren't that good, so I'll give you more. So it's like, okay, I wanted to challenge myself. It's like, and once again, can I have this piece read from across the room? Which I did. So that's the kind of stuff I take to the Heroes Con, where it's like, yeah, and I try to do like, oh, what's a superhero, what's a big two. I might change it up next year, have fun. But yeah, and it's like there's no they think, and here's the other cool thing as an artist, you do the piece, they keep track of it for like taxes and stuff. They get to know your name. So it might be like the first couple of years they might not know you. Then it's like, oh, it's you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You did that piece. And this kind of goes well. This goes into the other. We'll put a pin in that. The other thing with the art auction, which they're kind of getting a little. I'm hoping they bring this back. So one reason I'm making this video, it was amazing. Like they put up these pieces, and you can go look and literally study original art. I remember like Jeff DeGaulle being like, "That's how he did that." Or looking at David Pearson, like, "Oh, he uses this kind of pencil line." It's like, so he's using more values, but because he's using these kind of values, it comes off of this way. Or I can go on and on and on. Like, I remember like Phil Noto, and that also they're like I said, they're always trying to streamline. They're always trying to make it a little better mousetrap. So they don't like you going up as much, especially when the show's going on. But the other cool thing is, and this is where it sucks the table because sometimes I gain a lot from tabling, but I give up a lot, and I don't get to watch other artists create. So I'm always here like I do mine before the show because once I get to the show, I just want to focus. But a lot of people like to do it at the show. A lot of big names like Brian Selfries. When we get in Phil Noto, Scotty Young does a piece. My pal Xavier Robinson does like it is insane. But from like I had another pal, Mike Reeves. Mike, okay, yeah, editing me. Ha! Mike Reeves and Stefan Rue did a piece together. And that's the other cool thing. It's like it's a chance to like play around for artists. But as an audience, it's a chance to watch like Self Rings alone is worth the price of admission. I know like years before Tony Harris would do a piece up there. Scotty Young does one every year, and it's cool just to watch artists create. Even it's like sometimes you can talk to them, sometimes they put on headphones, but you can like stand and watch. Like I would stand and watch. You can sit and watch, and it's like no, I don't know any other show that's like, hey, we have a stage you can watch artists, especially because it's a convention. It's concrete. I tell so many people, I'm like, hey, if your feet hurt, they got chairs over there. You can watch an artist. It's a win-win. So that's the other thing I recommend. They also have the drink and draw, which clarification. Like I don't know. It's they almost need to rename it. in some ways. It's just kind of what stuck because I know so many people are like, well, I don't drink. I'm like, we had one pal. It's like I'm a recovering alcoholic. It's like I guarantee you, there's more alcohol going around any restaurant than that showing. But this is part of Team Cul-de-sac, who is a I believe they're an offshoot of the J. Michael Fox Foundation, but it's a charity to help fight with Parkinson's. So every piece for that show goes to that charity to help fight with Parkinson's. The cool thing with that one is a couple things. One, it's almost an even ground because they ask you like you can donate art to them, but they ask you to do pieces on these coasters, literally a coaster. And it's interesting. You especially man, because like this year I did the straw hats, but man, I saw a lot of coasters where I'm like, wow, you guys are really pushing like composition or idea of what you can do with these. And like I said, it's you know the biggest professional, the biggest names to the like just a kid playing around with these, all on the same playing field. So it's a fun thing with that, and it helped. End of the day, like they this year they just announced they passed 300K for Parkinson's research. So it's like okay, so that's number three. So it's like we got the artist, we got we'll say two. You got the two things. I got five. The other, like I said, the other great thing with this con, it's an original art show. And I did talk about like, hey, there's the artist auction, but a lot of people have original art. And as a fan, like it is cool to look through binders, especially some of these big names and these legends. Like there was one year Bill Sienkiewicz set up. I don't know the story. He literally had no banner. He had two tables. One what he was creating, but you can find Bill Sienkiewicz one way or another by the smell of lighter fluid. But his other table was just this giant stacks of paper. And I remember like going through them, like there was coffee stains on so many pieces. I literally found an iPad, and he was like, "Oh, I've been looking months for that thing." But just looking at original art from one of my favorite artists, like, and the hard thing with tabling, like I found out, it's like, oh, Kevin Nolan's here, or this artist's here, that's here, like, oh, another artist I love, J.P. Fosket. I believe I'm probably butchering. I apologize. I've been following him on Instagram for years. I own one of his books, but it's always I always miss him. And luckily, I was going to the bathroom and I saw his table. And I'm like, oh, I need to make a mental note to go back and talk to him. And it's like I said, I swear I've had one of his books on my shelf for like almost 2 decades now, and I finally got a chance to meet him. Because actually, in this kind of will go along with a future thing. But yeah, I got to pick this up. So, but the chance to like talk to like, and it's also if you want to talk to artists, you want to talk to creators, there is not a better show. And it's the kind of thing like don't maximize the time, don't like just stand there booth. But it's also it's such a laid back atmosphere. It's easy to kind of like get in a conversation, ask questions. And so this year, I was lucky enough, my table mate or my neighbor got some Tula Lote, and I'd never heard of this artist. And they're like, "Oh, she's wonderful. She's great. She does these books, especially. I mean, I gotta really show that off. Full pencil sketch. Like, yeah, this thing costs $40, but with the pencil sketch, way worth it." I went over and chatted with her because I had some questions about her style and technique. And like, not all these are safe for work, but yeah, that's safe for my channel. That's safe enough. But I was like, yeah, how are you? Because to me, I'm like, how are you doing this? Are you doing this like it's clearly graphite, but are you using like an airbrush? And she's like, oh, I use liquid pigments, pigment powder. And it's like, oh, that's a technique I hate, but it's something I'm like, oh, okay, that answers that question. We're chatting a little bit more. She's like, I just fixed it and we'll move on, do some digital colorings, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, have you heard of the rub out technique? Like, no, what's that? And it's like, oh, it's an old school Illustrator technique where you do a very detailed drawing, put fixative on it, then you put gouache and erase out the areas. It's once again, editor Josh. This is where I've done like the goon piece on this. I've done some of my I need to do this more. I love the technique. But she's also I'm like, oh my god, I'm showing her, she's like, can you email me examples? Like, yeah. So we went from I've never heard of this artist. I want to buy this artist's work to me being like, hey, here's a new technique that you should play around with. I don't know if she will or not, but like no other con would you get that at. It's like New York is a little too, these bigger cons, yeah, you get the big headlines like at New York or San Diego, but with Heroes, you get the memories. I think that's the other big thing. So, like I said, the original art, uh, and I kind of talked about this earlier. The other cool thing, and this is just with cons in general, but especially with Heroes Con, I want this to come back, is con exclusive books. Um, Especially, I want the sketchbooks, like the ash cans, whatever you want to call them. Like, these are always some of my favorite. It's great getting these, and I love, especially the other crazy thing too. I've noticed. Well, it's also like a pal of mine put this out. It's like his mini. It's a cyberpunk illustration magazine. This guy's becoming one of the hottest artists. His book's been sold out, but I got to pick this up, which is a create your own like comic. And one like we're doing a video on this because this an artist I've been following for decades, one of my favorites. I got to get all these. And yeah, there's Kickstarters, but there is something nice about like not knowing what you're going to get, walking by and being like, "Oh, I need to get that." Or like the reason I got this one is because like my pal Bunk was raving about Drome, and I'm like, "Oh, I want to pick up Drome. I want to pick up Drome." He didn't have Drome, so I'm like, "Okay, let me pick this one up." You know, and it's the kind of thing like I've been friends with him for years, wanted to support him. Been following this guy for years. Got a new piece. Never heard of this artist. I guarantee you I'll be getting a lot more of these. You know, and lucky enough, like this was my table mates or my table neighbors, and I haven't read it yet. I'm excited to dive into that. So it's finding like that personal touch because I get it. There are big books I'm always excited about. I just got Vagabond #5. Um, I'm probably going to read Suicide Squad Omnibus. Those are great. Those are worth celebrating, and I hope that's part of your collection. But I can't tell you, there's something about finding a treasure, especially like, I mean, some of these, like, this is 172 out of 500. That's not going to get reprinted. I don't know what this number was because he didn't put it about 200. He said this is a few years old. Like, I had the last ones of these. Also, too, he literally let me look through each book because he did a little monster sketch in the beginning of this. It's stuff like that. Like, this guy was only $10, original art right on the cover. And that's some of the cool things about cons, but especially like with Heroes Con, it's finding those treasures. I've been, like I said, I've been to other cons. You never find that as much. I don't know. It just feels like other big cons, it's harder to find. Like Heroes Con, it's everywhere. It's every nook and cranny. And I guarantee, I really hope someone views my book the same way. Because there's nothing better as a creator than seeing it in the wild. So, but what makes Heroes Con the show I love the most? And I've been dancing around this. End of the day, there's one thing that makes Heroes Con better than any show. It's the people. It's okay. When I first went to Heroes Con, I moved to Atlanta. Literally, I moved to Atlanta on a Friday. It was like 2 or 3 a.m. My friend was like, "Hey, we're going to pile in the car, go to Heroes Con for a day, drive back." And we were all young and 20. We somehow did it. I was like half awake. But then the next year, it's like, oh, let me go back. Like, let me apply and let me table there. And, you know, I got to table, or I got to table. Then it's like, hey, let me table the next year. There were a few years I kind of realized like I wasn't making money. It's like uh, from as I didn't write the year. Also, I'll say this artist, please date your art. It helps everyone. But yeah, there were a few years I didn't table. I got to be a fan. But yeah, and it's the kind of thing when I first went to Heroes, I didn't know a lot of people. Now, I'll talk to people, I'm like, everyone. And the cool thing about Heroes is you keep going, you keep going. You talk to volunteers, you make friends with people. And it's the kind of thing, like, there are people I've got to know as a fan, and I've purchased stuff from them enough times. They're like, oh, okay, I recognize you. We get chatting. Um, on the flip side, as an artist, so I was talking to one of my patrons, and he was excited because he gets a bunch of original commissions, but he saw one of them on Instagram. He's like, ah, yeah, it's coming out well. And to me, like, I don't know, there was something that was kind of, it just seemed like not cool, where it's like you're paying for original art and you don't get to enjoy it in person. So I make a rule like, hey, I don't release any images online until the person has seen the original. Well, now it's turned to a game where all of his friends will rush to my table or try. I'll show them off my phone. Like, I'll show them the pieces before he sees it. And we even have fun to the point where he told me one of his wife's commissions, and I got to go like, "Oh, you're lucky." And she's like rolling her eye. But it's stuff like that. Like, it's even to the point. Little side story: we're waiting on him to pick up. It was the Jaws piece. He's nowhere to be found. She's like, has he paid for this yet? I'm like, not yet. She's like, oh, let me cover the kit payment. I'm like, all right. And then I realized, I'm like, well, legally, you paid for it. You're in the same household. It's your piece. So I give it to her. The husband comes up. He's like, hey, where's my piece? I'm like, nah, I don't have it. And he's like, all right. He's like, we went a little farther this year. Like, someone took a photo of the corner with my thumb, like, haha. So he's like, he knows the piece exists. He's like, fine, fine, blah, blah, blah. But then I really threw him a curveball. I'm like, well, the good news is you don't owe me money. And that was the one where he goes, what do you mean I don't owe you? Like, because he literally was like, look, I know you're kind of messing with me. The piece is not here, but how don't I owe you money? So yeah, that is kind of built into a tradition now. And, I've had various things like, literally, I can kind of tell you, like, I was lucky enough to go to Japan, and I went with Dexter Vines and Mark Schultz and Sanford Green. Because of that, it's like, yeah, that's how I met a lot of artists. That's how I got, but it's the kind of thing, it's like, Dexter took me to a life drawing once where I met my like longtime friends, the Burnses, who introduced me to other people, who introduced me to other people, who introduced me to other people. And I've even seen it now with like the Discord or with, the YouTube space where it's like, hey, I'm part of the Discord, you're part of the Discord, let's hang out and chat. And no one's cons are the same. No one's is. But the other thing that always kind of gets me with Heroes Con, it's one of the few places in my career that I was always treated as professional. From this badge to this badge. Always been treated nothing but the best. And it's a small group, and it's like family. And like any family, yeah, there's drama, there's always there's some headbuttings, but at the end of the day, I get so excited when I get to see my friends and give them hugs. I get so upset when I have to hug them again because I know it's going to be another year. I hope. Because there was a this jerk. There was a guy head of security, Kibby, mountain of a man. Like, I'm a big guy, but he overshadowed me. Like, if you were a jerk, he was there to take care of business. But the biggest teddy bear, and he was the kind of guy, like, biggest supporter of like the small downtrodden. Like, he was always a champion of that. And I got to know him because, like, I had friends of the Burnses were friends of his, and we're drinking delicious homemade moonshine with Kibby. And it's like, that's how I got to meet him. And unfortunately, during 2020 with COVID, he got COVID pneumonia and passed. And it's like, it's always kind of heartbreaking because I miss Kibby. I miss him every year, especially because now Jeffrey is second in charge. Great guys doing a great job with the show is now the head of security. But they all now call the security guys Kibby sidekicks. And it's like, it's one of those, it's like, I'm glad we're still honoring him. It tears my heart, but also I know a lot of people don't know why they're called Kibby sidekick. But it's like three people run the show, Carla or the showrunners, Carla, Seth, and Sheldon, and those three go months without sleep. Like they pull off the incredible, and they do one of the best shows. So the thing, like I said, no other show celebrates comics like Heroes Con. No other show, and it's crazy because like as a fan, I have great I have some of the best memories as a fan. I have some of the best memories as a creator, and sometimes it's under the same show. It's one of the shows where it's like I can find my newest favorite artist, or I can talk to like literally the show. I got an escalator, and Walter Simonson was ahead of me, and I got to tell Walter Simonson everything I wanted. I've been a fan of his for years, and it's just like it was a brief moment. And class act that he is, it's like he might have been tired, he might have had a long day. I would never know, and I'm glad I got to have that moment with him. So it's like it's little things like that that makes Heroes Con just Heroes Con. Because a lot of people, I don't know, you always get, I don't know about you all, like after a con, I'm like, oh, let's check out YouTube, let's see what everyone's saying. And it's always like CGC or this dealer, this blah, blah, blah. But like the things that always makes HeroCon to me are the people and the art. Yeah, you have to make a, say YouTube list, but whatever. But it always comes down to the people and the art. And it's always flipping. And when I say flipping, because it's like you get to know the people, you get to enjoy their art, and vice versa. And like I said, the cool thing with the art auction, especially I've had people come up to me, it's like, how did you do this piece? How did you make this line? Like, what did you do? And it's like, oh, here's my techniques. And it's the show always changes. Like I said, it's crazy that I've been going in a few like in two more. Oh my word, we're like 3 years away from it being 20 years of Heroes Con off and on. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's one of those. It's always a highlight. It's always a lot of. I always put in a lot of work and energy because I want it to be the best. So, but yeah, 2026 is done. 2027, or hopefully you're watching this in the future. Hopefully you're like, man, I would love to go to. I'm hoping like 2043 is the best Heroes Con. I've got a while, but yeah, it's an amazing show. If you have a chance to go, I recommend it. And travel's expensive, hotel's expensive, but everything you can do to get there, it's worth it. I highly recommend it. Like if you take one thing from this channel away, buy my book. No, it's Heroes Con. One of the things to take away is Heroes Con's worth it. So to Heroes Con, thank you all again. Thank you for being beyond amazing. To others, you know what? If you want to run a convention, go to Heroes Con. I'm legit serious. If you want to see how to run a convention for the fans, by the fans, check out Heroes Con. So, yeah, thank you all again, and hopefully I get to see you all at Heroes Con.